Hello, kings and queens. It's D here, your friendly neighborhood tattoo VO. Let's talk about those icky words. Failure. Rejection. It's time to Ink Positive. Tips and insight from the tattoo VO, D. Alvis. Failure, rejection, it's one of those things where if you get into any kind of sales business, which again, for those of you still aren't getting it, voiceover is a sales business. I will explain this probably in next week's video because a lot of you just seem to be fighting me on that. And again, it's a mindset situation. But that's another topic altogether. Point being, you look at failure and rejection as this negative thing, and people are always talking about, like, oh, sometimes I get this anxiety and I don't even want to try because I'm afraid of getting rejected. And if that is the way you feel and something you can't get over, then don't get involved in a business like this. It will drive you crazy. It'll crush your spirit. And the fact of the matter is, some people just aren't built like that. And that's okay. But if you are going to be involved in this, you better thicken up your skin because you are going to get beat down repeatedly. Repeatedly, I say, okay? Like, if you literally could be bruised from the beatings you will take mentally from all the rejection, you would be purple. And that's okay because that's how you succeed. Anybody who's successful has been rejected, has failed countless times. I know people don't talk about the failures much because, you try to stay on the positive side of things. But I'm here to tell you that those failures and those rejections can be part of the positive. Because every time you put yourself out there and you're trying, you're taking a positive step in the right direction. Okay? It's sometimes a numbers game, especially for those of you who just strictly rely on auditioning. You're not going to book 100% of your auditions. You could be the greatest voice talent in the history of the freaking universe. You're never going to book 100%. You're not. Even if you get to like 50%, which I doubt anybody I've ever come across has even hit 50%, it's just one of those things. There are millions of voices out there. There's millions of ideas in people's heads of what they want things to sound like. You may not fit even 10% of that, even if you're doing a great job. So get that idea out of your head that, if you get passed over for a part or whatever it is, that you failed. No, you made an attempt. You just didn't get that gig, okay? There will be others. There will be plenty of others. If there weren't, why would we do this, right? Because you're not going to make a living on one booking a year or whatever, all right? Even great on-screen actors don't do that, right? Great actors, they're doing one or two movies, 3, 4 movies sometimes a year. Maybe not this year because of COVID, but in years past. And we're talking about people who make millions per role. So even they're doing multiple roles each year. So you see what I'm getting at? Yeah. It's not a dirty word when you hear failure or rejection. It's just more experience. That's the other thing. Every time you try, you're getting some experience. And also, guys, every rejection, take it this way, especially if somebody gets kind of personal with you about it. Suck it in. Make it fuel for your fire to continue to try, to continue to succeed, and to prove other people wrong. Hell, perfect example, I could give you a million, but I'll give you one very perfect example that is very relevant to this whole conversation. All right. My manager, John Hasselhoff, right? House Management, radio imaging specialist, one of the top firms for that. Okay. I spoke to him a while back about potentially being on that roster. One of the reasons I love Haas, he's a straight shooter. He does not BS. Basically, he told me a bunch of things that I needed to hear. I may not have wanted to hear. Now, the way I took that, rather than being bitter about it, is I took it as, okay, this guy actually gave me some information that I need to take advantage of and utilize to better my skill set, better my business, and then down the road, I will reach back out to him and see what's what. Well, after all that and some time had passed, about a year and change, reached back out, and I'm on his roster now, okay? Not every rejection is a bad thing. Sometimes people are rejecting you, and especially you need to listen. That's what a lot of people fail to do these days. They don't listen. Okay? They hear, but they don't listen. And they only hear certain words or certain things, and they tend to tune out and then start beating themselves up or get defensive. Uh, not just people in general and everything in life these days, it seems. So just be wise when you have that opportunity to hear some feedback from somebody that you might not want to hear. You might not be hearing, you know, exactly what you wanted to hear. Still listen, take that mental note, take it to heart, and then use it to further your career. And that is how you can keep shining.